All right, my clock has hit 10:01. So good morning to all of you and welcome. Thank you for joining this morning's MasterControl webinar, where we're going to focus on how we digitalize manufacturing and embed quality within your production operation using our software. So thank you very much for your time. My name is Andrew Scully. I work specifically with new companies that come to MasterControl expressing an interest in digitalizing their production operation. And I'll be handing you over to my friend David in just a few minutes' time. David's one of our solutions consultants here at MasterControl, who's going to take us through a live demonstration of the platform. One thing I would say just before we get started, please use the Q&A function to drop in any questions or any comments that you might have as we run through the demonstration today. We're going to leave a little bit of time at the end to address as many of those as possible. But if you could use the Q&A rather than the chat, it's a little bit easier for us to take those offline after the session and make sure we get back to you in writing. But first of all, from me, just a brief introduction, really, to MasterControl, for those of you who might not be aware of who we are. So we've been around for around 30 plus years now in delivering software solutions specifically to the life science industry. And you can see across the top of your screen right now our mission statement. And really, we are all about helping organizations like yours make their life-changing products available to more people sooner. And we do that through the provision of the software platform you can see on the screen. And if we break down a little bit what's included on that platform from a functionality perspective, this is what we're seeing. So we're going to be focusing over on the right-hand side today on manufacturing execution. We call that module within our platform MX. It's a completely no-code MES for electronic batch records and electronic logbooks. But over on the left-hand side, maybe where you've heard about us before, 30 plus years, we've been delivering quality management systems to the life science industry. We've got over 1,200 customers as of today. And I think a couple of points to make clear that are really important. First of all, life science industry is absolutely the primary industry that we serve. We do have a handful of customers that are in other heavily regulated markets, but comfortably over 90% of our customer base are pharmaceutical companies, biotechnologies, medical device manufacturers. Everything that you can see on the screen right now has all been built internally by MasterControl and on a single unified data architecture. So that means all of these solutions are natively integrated by design. So imagine having your production records that are natively integrated with your SOPs and your work instructions in document control, with the training records of the operators that are executing those processes, and with those non-conformances, those deviation processes that sometimes we need to go through. Ultimately, our goal is to enhance compliance, improve the rate and the quality of production for all of our customers, and make all of that production and quality data available quickly and easily for you. And we help our customers do this through what we call our transformation approach. So over at number one, if your paper-based or your legacy systems are holding you back, first of all, we help you to digitalize. Then, if your operations within those processes are slowing you down, we help you to automate those and to streamline those to increase productivity and to reduce costs. And ultimately, we want to unlock all of that data. If it's trapped across disparate systems, if it's all being held on paper, that's really no good to us when we are looking to improve our operations. So we help you to transform through, analytics, data-driven insights, and artificial intelligence tools that we're putting a lot of investment into developing right now as well. And this is just breaking that journey down into a little bit more detail. Right at the very start of things, of course, we all want to get rid of paper. It's a must for all, production operations. We all have green initiatives and it's all well and good to digitalize process. But I want to stress that it's not just about getting rid of paper. It's about streamlining your production and removing errors from those business critical processes. Deviations can turn into recalls, which are not only costly and very time consuming, but can affect the reputation of your organization as well. One of our customers came to us and told us they had a single recall that resulted in them essentially having to throw away $700,000 worth of product. A lot of the companies that we serve, particularly with our manufacturing solution, are those in advanced therapies, ATMPs, cell and gene therapies. And of course, your product is incredibly expensive to produce, and it's incredibly important to the patients that you serve that you get it to them on a timely basis. So again, making that product available to more people and more quickly really is at the heart of everything that we do. And of course, if we can improve those processes, if we can reduce the number of deviations that you're needing to manage, that leads to resource optimization. Optimizing your resources allows you to scale your production quickly as well. And, we're talking about that on a couple of fronts. Not hiring as many resources to upscale production, not having as many people that are required to execute those processes, and allowing those people to work on activities that actually add value to your business, rather than kind of mundane tasks that can be automated through use of an intelligent software platform. But ultimately, the end goal for pretty much every one of our customers is, how do we reduce the lead time in production, and how do we reduce the cost in production? And what David's going to show you today is going to illustrate that. So just a few final points from me before I hand over to David. This software is a little bit different from some of the traditional legacy manufacturing execution systems you may be used to using for a few reasons. One of which that I always love to talk about is how quickly we can stand this up and implement this at your site. You can see on screen right now, some of our most successful customers have completely digitalized production in a matter of weeks. And they've done that globally across multiple sites in just a few months. And we achieved this through the fact that MasterControl is entirely no code. It's all configuration based. There's no costly development. You don't need IT experts. There's no coding, no development necessary. No expensive consultancy to form fit the MES to meet your business. And we have a patented set of tools for validation that we are very, very confident are, some of the best on the market. We aim with every single one of our customers, no matter how complicated your processes are, we aim to go live in production within 120 days. And when we talk about the immediate impact that you'll start to see, these are data points that have been aggregated across our MX customer base. So that's north of 200 customers that are producing GMP products live today with MasterControl. We talked about the no-code approach. That leads to being able to create a new master batch record template or modify existing ones and validate that entire process within 1 hour. We can almost entirely eliminate data integrity issues from your production records, and David's going to showcase how we do that today. We've already talked about the idea of increasing the efficiency of your operators and reducing the number of deviations that you're handling. Critically, that 80% faster review time is something that we achieve through review by exception. So no longer are you having to flick through tens or hundreds of pages of paper documentation only to find that somebody's signature is missing and having to run away and find them. What our review by exception functionality does is it only surfaces the steps within your process that require another set of eyes, that require a quality review. And we're able to dramatically reduce the review time. Some of our customers have been able to reduce that quality review and release cycle from weeks down to days, and in some cases, just hours. And of course, that real-time insight into all of your production data is going to allow you to more easily address the idea of continual improvement in your production process. And then this is my final slide before I hand over to David. These are some of the ROIs that we've received from our customers. And of course, it very much depends on your operation. Every customer of ours is unique. We work with all kinds of organizations ranging from startups, some 5 or 10 people in production, all the way through to some of the multinational kind of top 10 pharma and medical device companies, the Pfizers and the Thermo Fishers of this world. And pretty much in every case, we will work with you to help define the return on investment that you can expect that's unique to your business. And just some of the figures here on screen are ones that our customers have been able to calculate through use of the MX software. But with that, I will hand over to David. Please do feel free to keep dropping your questions in the Q&A. But David's going to take us a little bit into a little bit of more detail around how we embed quality within that production process as well.
Thank you, Andrew. I will first go over a couple of slides, and then we'll go into the system itself. I want to point out that MX Manufacturing Excellence will modernize your production records, batch records, DHRs by providing quality at the point of data entry and provide automatic complex calculations. We also have a point-and-click creation of master templates, out-of-the-box integrations, version control, and rapid deployment, while also allowing you insights into your production data with a variety of reports and dashboards. The next couple of slides that you'll see will go over some of the ways that we could apply quality into the production records. MX is a role-based system, so you only see the items that you're allowed to see, and you do not see items that you have no permission to see. Combined with training verification, using MX and our quality system together ensures that users are only able to enter information in places where they have been trained. And that also catches a lot of compliance issues that could occur in the future. At the point of data entry, we have many ways to validate that data, including numeric ranges, pick lists, skip logic, and we'll see a lot of that in the presentation. We're also using MX unified with our quality system. You're also able to capture any compliance issues, any CAPAs, any deviations, and connect that with your production record. You're able to ensure that your operators are able to view instructions, also read and acknowledge any information, SOPs, work instructions while working on your batch records. You can also use a tablet while you're capturing data, take pictures and upload images and combine that with your production record to also ensure quality. At the point of data entry, if you need a second pair of eyes, we're able to provide notifications at the point of data entry, at the point of completion of a data point or a section of your batch records. This eliminates any data integrity issues that will not be caused until after, when all the data has already been entered, and then causes delays. MasterControl MX QX is 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, Annex 11 compliant. So those signatures that we see in the system and those the timestamps are all compliant with FDA and European regulations. We have a complete audit trail, so every data point, every correction is automatically captured in the system. So instead of having your binders with things crossed out and things that are not legible, the system will get rid of any issues that occur there. If you also need to keep track of any logbook entries outside of your production record, we can actually combine that together and put that within one a batch record, and we'll see how that all works. As Andrew said, review by exception allows you to pinpoint the quality review on only items that need to be reviewed, which also saves you time. And then as a manager or as any user in the system, all data points that you enter, we could actually create dashboards and reports so you get insights into your work and your data. So what I'll do here is I'll stop presenting PowerPoint. I'll go straight into the system. And as Andrew said, any questions can be entered into the chat, and we'll answer once the presentation is done. So I'm going to first go in as an operator and show you how data can be entered into your production records. Then I'll go in as a quality reviewer and see how that information can be reviewed, and also show you the review by exception tool, which allows you to pinpoint any issues that have occurred. We also will go in as a SME and see how these batch records can be created using our master template builder. Should I say our no-code master template builder. I do have experience on the IT side, but we do not need any IT experience in order to create these master templates. So as an operator, looking at my screen here, I have a list of my production records, the ones that are visible to me. Here I can see the status of these batch records and also the percent completed. This list of batch records can be done automatically by pressing new, or this information can come directly via our out-of-the-box ERP integration. Once I go in to a batch record, on the right-hand side, I see the cover page of this batch record. The top part gives me information on the production record. This here can be configured with any information that you need to track. Also, you could add your company logo to configure it just for you, your use. We have 3 tabs at the bottom, which gives you information on the actual batch record. Open jobs lets you know what can be worked on now. MX allows for multiple users to work on the batch record at the same time. If someone has updated a screen while you're working on it, you'll get a notification within the system itself. As you complete these different sections, this here will get updated, letting you know what needs to be done. The next tab is the accountability tab. And here you can see this almost as your signature manifest. Any person that has worked in the batch record will be listed here, along with any linked documents or any linked forms that have been connected with the batch record. As we work on the record, the activity log will keep track of my audit trail automatically in the background, full audit trail of everyone that's worked in the system and any item that's been worked on. And we'll come back here and see how that works. On the left-hand side, we have the units that we could currently work on. In this example, we have a production unit and a manufacturing unit. Notice the blue dot by preparation. This means that this section we could work on. Manufacturing cannot be worked on until our preparation has been completed. So instead of having your operators maybe enter information in a place that is not ready to be entered yet, the system controls the order of operation. And that can be configured when you create our master batch records. If I try to go into a section that is not ready to be completed yet, I will get an automatic warning from MX telling me that this section is not ready until section 1 has been completed. Right? So let's go into section 1, one of the sections of our batch record, and begin our data entry. So as an operator, when I go into a section, we could also combine it with instructions, with information on what to complete on that page. Also, we could connect that using a quality system to any SOPs or work instructions that users must follow. If the user has not been trained in that SOP or that work instruction, they will get a training verification warning, which will look something like this. And this allows them to maybe take the training before they're able to complete that section. Within our experience, around 3% of users think they've been trained in a section and they do not realize they have not been trained. Maybe something has been updated and MX catches that information and catches any quality issues that could occur in the future. So the first item we're going to do in this section of our batch record is select a scale that needs to be used to do some measurements down the line. MX allows you to keep track of different equipment, maintenance dates, calibration dates, along with that equipment. Automatically, based on this initial data entry here, I could see that 2 of these scales can be used, but 1 cannot be used, which means maybe it has not been maintenance or has not been calibrated. Once I select the equipment being used, automatically it puts in my username and the timestamp of when the data point has been entered. Also, it provides the next calibration date for that equipment. that I've selected. Next, we're going to enter some numeric information into our production record. So as you may know, when you're entering information, as if you need to enter a number, sometimes you might enter data that's out of range, and that information may not be caught until you have a quality reviewer come in and review that information and catch these issues, which may cause delays down the line. Here, when we set up this batch record, we said that the data that we're expecting needs to be between 50 and 100 milliliters. So if I enter a value outside of that range, I will get a warning indicating that that information is out of range. This warning here can be bespoke, so you could actually put in a warning that's specific to that data point. If I've made a mistake, I could make a correction right from here. All that information is maintained in the audit trail. And let's say I meant to put 90 instead of 100. Once I enter that information, I'm able to indicate or reason why I'm making the correction, and all that is kept in the system audit trail. Once I make that correction and apply it, I could keep track of that correction here. So we have an audit trail at the point of data entry. So we could see the initial data entry and the change to that data entry by this person on this date. So as I make any corrections, it'll automatically be maintained within each individual data point. With that data entry that I entered at 90 milliliters, maybe I need to do some calculations. So if you're using a paper-based process, you may have to use a calculator, do the calculation, maybe go into Excel, and then go back and enter the calculation here. What we've done is we've put the calculation automatically in the system, and we have the answer automatically verified based on my data entry. We spoke before about numeric ranges. This one here gave me a soft range, which gives me an error message. This one here will give me a hard stop. So if I put anything beyond the point, I'm here putting in a temperature, needs to be below 0 degrees centigrade. If I put in anything above that range, it says it's out of specs and does not let me continue until I fix this value. So we could have a soft numeric range or a hard numeric range, which makes me put in the correction. So we have, in other words, adding quality to my production record by ensuring that the correct data within the range that we want is being entered. Instead of having the users type in different items, which maybe make it hard for compiling information later, we could provide the users with multiple choice, where they could just make a selection on what they need. If we need to have a verifier come in and verify the data entry, if we connect that with notifications, they get an email and it brings them right into this data point. Or if I'm using a tablet, I can have a verifier come in, take over the tablet, put in their 21 CFR Part 11 e-signature, and verify my data entry right at this point. So what else do we have here to ensure quality when completing these production records? We could have generic text where they could enter information themselves, or we could provide them with a pick list of choices based on that. So if there are going to be some data entry points that are consistent and you know there's going to be a list, we could actually create a pick list for them instead of having them type that information. If we need to complete any logbook entries, like for example, we're using a room, maybe we have a cleaning log for that room, we could actually embed, say I am using room 1, I could go straight into my logbook and it takes me to the cleaning log for that room. So not only are we working here, so we have my cleaning log for the room, and I could go in and make a new logbook entry right from within here, and that gets connected within my batch record. Okay, so we've completed a section of my batch record. Notice on the left, once I complete a section, I get that green tick mark indicating that that section has been complete. I can move on to the next section here, label and store. Wanted to show you that for each section, we could have instructions. We could also embed pictures, graphics, even moving graphics into the production record. If we want the users to maybe, in this case, attach a label, we could put in the steps with pictures on how the label must be attached. We could provide the operator with just a simple pass, fail, yes, no, indicating that, yes, they've applied the label the way they have to, following these instructions. If we want them to take a picture, like I said before, we can use our tablet, take a picture of the label to ensure that it's been attached correctly. We could also attach a file. So attach a file or capture an image. So we want to indicate that, yes, we've attached the label correctly. And here we have the label that we've attached. And that graphic gets automatically attached to my production record. Let's say before continuing on, we want the operator to maybe review some instructions, SOP, or maybe go to a website and see any information. We could put a hyperlink within the actual record itself, and they cannot indicate that they've seen that unless they've actually launched that link, gone to that screen, reviewed the information, then they could go back into the production record, and then they could indicate that it's been reviewed. And like I said, username and timestamp gets automatically added. In the previous screen, or let's say if I'm using working on this batch record for several days, another operator could have entered that information. That's a calculation from the previous screen. If we need to reference that information, we could add that to our batch record, which also improves quality. They don't have to go to the binders and look up any other additional details. Next, moving on to another section here within my batch record. Let's say we need to keep track of a table of information. In here, we could have multiple sections here within a table. So here, let's say I'm using that equipment that I selected before, and I'm weighing some items. So the first one here, we also have a numeric range here, adding some information. Once I complete that row, I have that row already there, and I could add additional rows as required. So again, the equipment, and now the information that I'm adding. Not only can you keep track of table entries by adding individual rows, you can also keep track of summary information like sums, average, deviations right within that table itself. Another way that we could add quality at the point of data entry in our batch records is if we need to calculate a duration. Let's say we want to add things to a tank and then mix that information. We could enter the items that we need. And this here initiates my duration. And then once I'm done, automatically it calculates how long that step took. Okay, and we began with 1250, and let's say at the end we end with 1225 kilos. We also are able to keep track of any leftovers from here. So these calculations that could be complex within our batch record can be done automatically. And we saw review earlier within our individual data entry. We could also have a review for our entire section, your manager. The system also allows for scanning. Let's say we need to scan something with a barcode, and also allows for skip logic. Let's say we're keeping track of materials, and we could keep track here of up to 4 different materials. The skip logic says that if we only have one material to keep track of, it lets me keep track of one, but the rest become not applicable, which means that I will not enter information in sections that are not needed, thus ensuring quality and not entering data in the wrong spot. So let's say I do have my barcode scanner. It's automatically integrated within MX. It works almost like my keyboard. So here I do have a barcode to scan. 1 second. One second. Once I scan that information, there we are. Automatically, it via integration, maybe into an ERP system, it will bring over all the details that come in with that item that I scanned. So it's going to bring over automatically the part name and the part number. Okay, once I complete it. Now, notice before, when I first started, manufacturing was not available. Now that I've completed section 1, now manufacturing is available to be completed. So instead of continuing on with the batch record, I'm going to stop right here and go back to that summary page of information within my batch record and show you how the system automatically gets updated. It tells me that I'm 85% completed. So automatically it knows the data has been entered into the system. The accountability page keeps track of people who've actually worked on the batch record, any documents or items that have been attached, and the audit trail automatically keeps track of any information that's been entered in the system. So you have the audit trail running in the background automatically for me. And this here's a hyperlink into the actual data point. So if I want to see what's been entered in that data point, automatically I could go into my batch record and see that data point. Now, as a quality reviewer, excuse me a second. As a quality reviewer, I just want to see the exceptions that have occurred. So any issues that have happened. So here, I'm able to see that I have 1 step corrected, 1 attachment, 0 limits exceeded. So if I want to see what steps have been corrected, I could go in here. I could actually have access to that information. So instead of having to look through my binder and find any issues, review by exception will automatically group these issues for me. Okay. If I ever want to view my production record, I'm able to, from here, print my production record. Or if I have many issues that are occurring, I could also emergency reject this record, too many issues. Okay, so that's a quick view into our quality review of my production record. What I want to do is take a step back and go in as an SME and show you how these master templates can be created. So here we have the template that we're working on. These templates here are automatically version controlled by the system. If we want, we could always print a configuration of these templates. I do not need to have any programming knowledge to update these templates or create these templates. Remember, we said we had 2 different units that we work on. Here we see these units. We see any subsections of these units, and we see the sections that we worked on, label and store, get tools. If I need to view or make any updates, I go in and I could see the actual section that I worked on. Here are the individual elements that have been added, and then the properties of that element. If I want to add a new item, all I need to do is view the data types on top. Let's say I want to add a new numeric item where I want to keep track of, say, pH levels for items that I'm testing. Once I add the numeric item, on the right, I have properties for that item. So let's say I want to add pH levels. And then below that, I have the properties of that item. Do I want to connect this with a logbook entry? Automatic from here, I could choose the logbook that I need to update. If I want to have any decimal precision for the data point, I could add here. Do I want to have the user, do we need to have a witness or a verifier? So I could actually go here, indicate that I do want a certain person or a certain role to verify this data entry. Since it is a numeric data type, I could also put in a unit of measure for the item. In this case, whatever I enter is a pH value. And if I want to have numeric limits, I could automatically easily add that, either a target or a range. So I could say that I want a target of 7 plus or minus 2, or I want to have a numeric range of anywhere within 7 and 9. And what happens if I'm outside that range? I could either warn the user with a bespoke warning, or I could reject the data entry. So that's how easy it is to add a new data item into a section of my batch record. It is point and click. If I want to have this section appear in any order, I can just click and drag it where I want to see it. Once I'm done, I've just updated this section. To make a new section, I could just go in here and create a new section into my batch record and configure my options. Okay, there I could add any items. For example, we had a duration, a calculation, a multiple choice, a step complete. All can be added via point and click. And once I add the piece of data, same thing, I put in the instructions and I configure the items that I want for this instruction. Once I create a section, I don't need to recreate it in the future again. I could just save this section as a template. So then if I need to bring that section over some of the time, I could just import that pre-made template right within the system itself. Not only can I save a section of my batch record, I could save a full unit. Let's say I have a preparation, it's always the same. I could always bring in a template of that complete section. So I know that's a quick introduction into the development of my master template. Only a few of you users, your super users, will be doing this. We will show you how to create these templates. We actually make sure you know how to do this, and we provide hand-holding for you. Once you're able to do it on your own, you can always reach out to us and we'll provide support. Now, just looking at the time, I notice we have around 20 minutes left. So before I hand back to Andrew, I want to show you how we are able to provide insight into my data. So MasterControl has out-of-the-box reporting and dashboards. So we have here around 10 or 12 out-of-the-box reports and dashboards. We have pie charts, donut charts, graph, lines, data behind. And not only do we have out-of-the-box reports and dashboards, you could also make your own. Gives you insights into your data. So here we have some dashboards indicating how many of our production records have been rejected or approved. From these dashboards, they're actually interactive with data that we see. So we could actually go in here and it filters the data that I'm looking at within the actual reports and dashboards. If there's any key points that I want to look at, let's say I want to find out when a record has been rejected, I could add that to my pulse. And the pulse gives me key performance metrics into the data that I want to see. So once I go into Pulse, let's say I want to find out whenever a record has been rejected or whenever I've reached a certain percentage of completion, I get automatic notification using Pulse. If there's any reports that I've created and I need to distribute, my report manager allows me to go in and actually create these reports and automatically distribute to any users. Now, I see that I'm running pretty late. I thought we had a bit longer, so I'm going to hand back to Andrew for any additional points or questions that he may have.
Great, thank you, David. And as David mentioned, that was a very quick whistle-stop tour of the functionality, running through it from an operator perspective, and then hopefully we were able to convey just how quickly and easily you can build your master templates, review those templates internally without the need for any IT or coding or development expertise in the organization. So yeah, we have about 5 minutes left, and yeah, we have been receiving some questions, so thank you very much for those. I'll probably only be able to address a couple up front, but we'll make sure that we come back to you in writing with any that we don't quite get around to today. So the first question I have is, I've got an existing QMS, but my production records are still on paper. Can you integrate your MasterControl's EBR solutions with the existing QMS? And the answer is absolutely. So, of course, some of the connections that David showed us with the documents, with training, one thing we didn't get round to as well was launching a quality event. You can do that from within any step within the process as well. It's as simple as the correction that David showed you. That's all native within MasterControl, but we do commonly integrate with any other QMS that allows us access to their API endpoints within their database. So yes, we do very commonly actually integrate with quality management systems that may belong to some of our competitors. That's not a problem. Speaking to integrations more broadly, we're completely agnostic when it comes to what system we integrate with. Again, as long as we can get access to the API endpoints, then building an integration is no problem. We very commonly integrate with ERP systems for exchange of production order details, batch numbers. Some of our customers manage inventory in an ERP system. What's nice about that integration is that they can be bi-directional as well. So as you're consuming material or components within the batch record, we can communicate back to that inventory management system and update the inventory in real time as well. We also integrate with laboratory information management systems, DCS, SCADAs, historians, whatever it is that you need us to integrate with. We are more than happy to do that. The next question was around process validation. So I mentioned at the start of the call that we have a unique approach to validation here at MasterControl. It's something that we're very, very proud of. And there are a couple of options when you are using our MX solution. So for system validation, we have the patented tool set that we call VXT, Validation Excellence Tool. We developed this in partnership with an ex-director of the US FDA. The FDA are actually a long-standing customer of MasterControl's and use our QMS as their own internal QMS and have them for a long time now. And essentially what this is kind of a wizard-based and guided way of creating risk assessments, delivering a customized risk assessment to each of our customers at each and every upgrade, but also delivering all of that validation documentation that you need to support validation. We validate our software regularly. We do it with every quarterly upgrade. We'll provide you with the IQ and the OQ documentation and the transfer PQ as well. If you identify any of the changes that we're making in an upgrade as being high risk, we will give you that transfer PQ. We'll also point you in the direction of that change and even help you with the test scripts that you might need to write to execute your own validation internally if you want to. What's exciting about the MX product is what we call validation on demand. So this is really around process validation. When you're building your internal processes within the system, maybe you have a new product and you build an entirely new master batch record to support that. Maybe you're a contract manufacturing organization and you have a new customer come on board, or maybe you've just tweaked a process that you've been using for a long time. Validation on demand will allow you to automatically validate that entire process from end to end directly within your environment. It takes a couple of minutes. It's a single button, and we execute that process within your environment from end to end and produce all of the necessary documentation to support that process has been validated. Of course, we would be more than happy to dive into any of this in any more detail with any of you that have attended the webinar today. But we are coming up close to our finish time. Oh, I see it's just ticked 10:45. So again, I've got to thank David for the presentation, but mainly thank you to you folks on the line for taking the time with us this morning. Do feel free to scan the QR code or just reach out to MasterControl should you wish to learn any more about what you've seen today. But again, thank you so much, and we hope to speak with you very soon.